Hello everybody and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at the countryside lands. But before that, this video is brought to you by Farmer Ben and David. Thank you for being farm barons. So the countryside lands map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now, while the map is just 204 megabytes in size, this map does have 6 other required mods. So if you combine those and the map itself, we're looking at a total download size of 232 megabytes. Let me read you some of the description. The Countryside Lands is a fictional place that could resemble the French countryside. This map was created in collaboration with part of the French-speaking community of Farming Simulator. If you start as new farmer, you'll have a relatively basic farmhouse, shelters, a silo, and pasture, as well as equipment. You'll find several areas on the countryside: an old village, an industrial zone, a housing estate, several development zones, a port zone, forest, and large city. You'll find various points of sale and custom purchases. Some points of sale are more profitable than others. The countryside map contains 106 fields, ranging from 0.29 hectares to 4.61, many forest plots of different sizes, free areas to build your farms, 25 items to collect, several factories and points of sale, a BGA, and much more. As I mentioned, this map does have 6 required mods. They are Stone Silo, Wood Chip and Grass Silo, Lime Production, Chocolate Factory, Fertilizer Plant, and Biotank. Now, I have to say, I do find it a little interesting that the Chocolate Factory is listed as a required mod, because I think what we're going to find when we get here into the map is that the Chocolate Factory is not necessarily pre-placed. In fact, the only place that I think the Chocolate Factory exists is in the menu of factories in order to place. So a little odd, I think, that a required mod is not actually used in the map itself, unless the player goes and puts it there. Let's go ahead and pull up the PDA. And your starting farm, in fact, the only real farm here on this map, is going to be located right here at Farmland ID 33. And if you select to not own the farm, well, you can buy this for $81,240. If you do not own the farm, the buildings and the machinery are still present. So there is no way of really basically starting with no buildings or no machinery. To that end, I'd say just go ahead and start by owning the farm. In addition to owning the farmland of 33, we also have field 32 and 31. Across the street, we have Farmland ID 82. That's going to have a sheep and cow pasture associated with it. We also own Farmland ID 1, Farmland ID 153, Farmland ID 70, which has a cow pasture, and Farmland ID 152. As far as other points of interest here on the map, well, we have a buildable plot at Farmland ID 144, which we can buy for $100,512. I'm not really sure where the free buildable plots are located, but that's really the only buildable plot I found here on this map. But if you happen to know where those are, I'm sure folks will be interested to see that down in the description. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 25 available on this particular map. And as far as the precision farming soil map, well, this is using the EU soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. So let's go ahead and see how that is applied to these fields. So of course the meadows aren't really showing the soil, but you can see we've got a big swath of silty clay right down here through the middle. As far as the fields we own here at the start, we're looking at a mix of loam and sandy loam. We've got loamy sand way over here to the east, and then more silty clay over here to the west. We do have our standard FS25 crop counter available to us on this map. And with respect to our animal pens, we own the 3 animal pastures that are pre-placed. 2 cow pastures, and a sheep pasture. None of those have animals at the start. With respect to contracts, we do have contracts available, and we also have all 3 of the new FS25 contracts in rock removal, wood transport, and dead wood. As far as our productions go, we start up by owning the fertilizer plant and lime production. Both of those were listed as required mods. And if we take a look here at our productions that are available for purchase, we have the bakery, canning factory, carpentry, cement factory, cooper, grain mill, oil mill, paper factory, soup factory, spinnery, sugar mill, and tailor. Remember that chocolate factory I mentioned? Yeah, interesting. It's not listed here. If we take a look at our prices screen, I counted up 12 different sell points scattered around the map. And as far as our vehicle goes, well, we're going to take a look at that here in a moment. We do not have any hand tools, and this map does indeed have 25 collectibles. They are the glowing orbs from the Asian base map. With respect to our starting fleet, well, we have the Massey Ferguson MS7S 190 medium tractor. We have the Massey Ferguson 5713S small tractor, and our International Series 200 pickup truck. We've got our Albert pallet fork and our Q6M quickie front loader arms. We have the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We have our POV 5XL Agromaz plow, and we also have the Cento 4000 super cultivator. As far as our seeding and planting goes, well, we have the Agromaz Aquila Drive 400 seeder. We have the TF 1512 seed and fertilizer hopper, which is going to be used in combination with the Maxima 3 till planter. We have our Breedall K105 lime and fertilized spreader, as well as the Rotocare V12400 weeder or hoe. We have our Evian 450 harvester. That's going to be included with the Vario 620 grain header and the Hardy N40BX header trailer. And then we also have the Capello Demont 8 corn header for our harvester. As far as grass care goes, we've got the Rittner ResPro R7 RD belt windrower. So it's kind of a merger. And then we have the Do-It 7300 mower. And that particular mower is going to be used on your rear of your tractor, but used with a rear drive function. As far as the baler go, we have the Kuhn VB 3190 round baler, and then we have the ABI Attachments 550 water tanker. We have a 1250 kilogram front weight and a 600 kilogram front weight, as well as a pressure washer. As far as mods and DLCs included with the map, there are no custom mods or DLCs built into the map. We come here to our build mode. Remember I mentioned our factories? Well, if we come down here, we will of course find our lime and fertilizer factories that are pre-placed. So we have our lime plant, we have our fertilizer plant, then we have our canning factory that has been modded for this particular map, and we'll find our chocolate factory located right here. But again, it doesn't appear to be pre-placed on the map, which is a little odd. Again, if it's going to be a required mod, I would think it would be actually implemented here in the map. As far as selling points, we have a custom bio tank that is again part of the required mods, and this is also pre-placed on the map. The rest of this is going to be fairly standard as far as our sheds go. We've got fairly standard sheds as well. And if we take a look at our ground textures, fairly standard ground textures, trees, and shrubbery. As far as our starting farm goes, well, it's pretty basic, but we can indeed pretty much sell everything here if we wanted to start from a completely blank slate. We've got a fuel tank. We have our farmhouse with our wardrobe and sleep trigger. A little shed here for our pickup truck. We've got our farm silo with our dump and fill point. This is going to be a silo for forage, wood chips, and chaff, as well as grass. So you've got that going on there. And then we've just got a couple sheds here to store our machinery. across the road, we're going to find the other farmland that we own, where we have our animal pastures for sheep and cows. So we have our water trough, we have a bale trough, food trough, and then we have our buy point for our cows. 17 cows available in here. Then we have our sheep and goats. So we have water. We have our trigger to purchase. 30 sheep or goats are going to go into here. We have our food trough. And then somewhere hidden in here, we're going to find the trigger for our wool and our milk. And that's pretty much the starting farm location here on the countryside lands. Now, if we make our way to the northwest along this road, we're going to eventually find our way over here to our cow pasture that we also own, which is located right here. So our second cow pasture is going to be able to support an additional 25 cows. We have our food, we have our bale, we have our water right there. And we mentioned we had ownership of another plot of land up here that is going to be for this particular factory. This is going to be our lime production. So interactive icon, we have our dump and our fill point there. And then if we cut diagonally, we've got our starting farm. Continue up the road a wee little bit. And we're going to find the biotank mod. So that's going to be for storage there. And here we have our fertilizer factory. So we have an interactive icon. We have our dump point and our fill point there as well. And pretty much that's the overview of the starting farm and the farmlands that we own at the start. Now, as far as sell points and productions, we're back here to our starting farm, and I want to take this road and make our way kind of down to the south, and then over here to the west, where we're going to find the city zone, as the description pointed out. And within the city zone, we've got a fair bit going on, as one would expect for a city. We've got a warehouse located here, so this is going to be a buy point and a sell point. Here we can sell various goods, and if we needed to, we could buy various goods as well here at the door and collect them from the spawn point. We have a small farmer's kiosk located right here, or maybe this is technically the big farmer kiosk, so this is going to be a sell point as well. Coming back into the city, we have our dairy sell point, sell milk, and then we have a sell point or factory located right here. This is going to be our oil factory, our oil mill. So we have our pallet point, and we have our dump point there. We have a fuel point just north of the oil mill. This is going to be our canning factory. So we have our dump point there. Pallet spawn point and our interactive point here at the side. We also have our dealership located right here. Let's go ahead and pick up something and just see where things spawn. Right here in front of the dealership. Not the biggest area, really, for things to spawn, but I think it'll work, given the size of the particular fields and the size of this map overall. If you wanted a little bit of a hint as to maybe where you can find at least one of those glowing orbs, well, here you go. Right down here at the shop. 24 more to locate. Here we have our bakery, right? So we have an interactive icon. We have our pallet point and our dump point around the side. And then we have the central cafe sell point located right here. If we make our way north of the city, we have our flour mill or grain mill. Continuing up the road, remember this is where we had our cow pasture located. We have our animal dealer located right here. So we have our trigger to buy or sell animals, as well as a bale sell point. Our Cooper is right here. So we have our pallet point. We have our dump point there. And our interactive icon here at the side of the door. Right across the street, we have our Tailor. So we have our dump and pallet spawn point there. We've got the lime production that we already talked about. Further up the road, we're going to find our biogas plant at farmland ID 153. Let's go ahead and see if we can't purchase that. Sorry about that, I misspoke. It's 154 and it's $151,000 to buy. Once we've bought that, we have one drive-through bunker. We have our interactive icon, we have our digester, we have our dump point for our slurry, and our pickup point for our digestate. To the east of that, we're going to have our sugar mill, our spinnery, and our soup factory. If we continue to make our way around the map, following this road, we're going to come over to the next set of hotspots, which is just beyond the starting farm. We've already been here once already. Right here, we've got our terminal sell point. We have our cement factory located right here. So I didn't think this was actually here. We do have a chocolate factory. Farmland ID 155. Let's go ahead and buy this. And boom, there we have our chocolate factory pre-placed. Why is this not coded the same as all of the others? There's our chocolate factory. Milk, sugar makes chocolate. But why, again, is this not coded like every other one? We have to just buy this land, but it's a farmland ID 155 for $81,024. Then you have your interactive icon, your dump point, and your pallet spawn point. So, kind of staying corrected on all of those statements I said earlier about why on earth is the chocolate factory not pre-placed. To have a lime silo here as well. Continuing this road to the southeast, we're going to come down here to our harbor area, or the dock. And to that extent, we have a grain sell point here at the barge. Here we have our carpentry. So we're dump point, wood cell, and pallet spawn point. across the river via this bridge. We have our paper factory. Let's make our way back across the river and make our way a little bit north. And then here we have another kind of farmer kiosk style sell point. And that, folks, is pretty much everything that we've got going on here with respect to the countryside lands. Here we see a nice band of forestry along the river. You're on the other side of the river, or you make yourself a way of getting on the other side of the river. Got a little bit of forestry over here as well. Maybe it'd been nice to have a ferry crossing here so we could get across the river to those trees. Overall, it's a pretty interesting looking map. Here we have that build site at 144. Lots of varied terrain. Doesn't look like it's too terribly steep, so I think you'd be pretty good with respect to machinery about the size, rated horsepower size as the vehicle shop lists. I don't think you're going to need to kind of buy up as far as machinery just to work the different hills and areas. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this particular map. And until next time, happy farming.